1, 2, 3. Hello, I'm Dennis Charlton. I'm a member of King Solomon Lodge number 41 here in Cochrane, Alberta. I've been in Beaver Lodge in Castor, and the future transferred to here. I've been a worshipful master for 7 years. I was a secretary for 7 or 8 years as well, probably a more important job than the master. And it has been absolutely a pleasure. I'm coming up on my 50th year being a Mason, and I have put together today a little bit of a paper I'm hoping that you will enjoy. And the subject of the exercise today is a Freemason's Guide to Golf. Pretty heady stuff. Anyway, we will begin. We'll begin with past the introduction. We'll have to tell you that this is a table lodge. So in other words, we will be asking you to toast once in a while. You're going to have a little shot. The brothers around the table will have those little disposable shot glasses, and our deacons and stewards will fill those up for you, and you can toast when you're requested to. Now, if there is a pause in the proceedings, you're more than welcome. It's like Jeopardy. You're going to yell out what the answer is, and you're perfectly welcome to do that. That's wonderful. Participation. Now, if you find something that's just a little bit hard to swallow, you can have a swallow. Well, a little hard to swallow, you're welcome to have a swallow. The other thing that we're not going to do tonight, boys, is we are not going to be driving at all. Your wives are in the building right beside us, and they're having a little bit of fun as well. Then we're going to have a fine meal, and we're going to call it a night. Okay? But you do not drive. Good stuff? Everybody's on board? That's the plumbing for the night. So, let's get into it. Gentlemen, please be upstanding. And I propose a toast to the king and the craft. To the king and the craft. You're supposed to say it right after me. The king and the craft. Down. Yeah. Is it fun already? Well, it's going to get worse. Watch. Okay. So, deacons and stewards, look pay close attention to the brothers that are here assembled and keep an eye on them. Brethren, by a show of hands, who here believes that the world is round? Put your hand up in the air if you believe the world is round. All is well. By a show of hands again, who here believes in evolution? Show of hands. Deacons and stewards, pay close attention. The rest of you that do not have your hand up in the air, I want you to give the other brethren a solid round of applause because they are buying the liquor for tonight's festivities. So solid round of applause. What is worse than a Mason that cannot golf? And I'll tell you, it's a Mason that think he descended from a goddamn monkey. Really, that's just the bottom of the goddamn bucket, and we're going to change that tonight. Okay? So you believe the world was round? And when God created the earth, 2/3 of the world was ocean, water. So the water is the strength and guidance of the earth. Therein lies the seasons, the weather, everything that makes the land grow is because there's a big ocean there, and the humidity is coming down and it's fertilizing and watering the land. On the land is only 1/3. The rule of thirds. So, on the face of the land, there is 3 races of men: Asian, Caucasian, and Negro. 3 races. the Holy Trinity. The first great wise man and leader was Buddha. Born just outside on an island, couldn't tack down the exact place of his birth. We cannot nail it down for sure. But Buddha is all about strength. The entered apprentice. Everything ever mentioned about his Buddha is he's the mighty Buddha. Take your hand on the globe and turn it 120 degrees. Bethlehem, the birthplace of Jesus Christ. Caucasian. He was here for the purpose of guidance. Follow me. I will find a place for you. I will go ahead. I'll make a place in the afterlife for you and follow guidance, the fellowcraft. You got to be ready for this. Put your hand on the globe again and turn it 120 degrees. This is going to be the birthplace of God when he arrives. On Judgment Day, he will be here and he will exist for a period of time. He'll make up his own mind because after all, he's God. It's going to be a black man. The problem that created for the Masons in the United States was absolutely horrific. And you already know what that problem was. During your Masonic ritual, you have to be a man freeborn in order to be a Mason. And it was just a nightmare for Abraham Lincoln to think that, well, when God arrives here, he cannot join this organization I believe so solidly in. It is so important to me, and it's just absolutely horrific. And of course, being they're a bunch of stodgy old Masons, there's no goddamn way they're going to change the ritual. You can't talk them into it. Say, would you drop that? No, it's got to be the same because it's ancient and all that bullshit. So, what would be the easiest option? Yeah, you had to abolish slavery. Get rid of it. Now, for Abe Lincoln, he was, of course, the leader in the North, and it was all industrialized. And when you put war production all into place, you don't have any money coming in. Everything you do from your factories, you've got nothing else to sell. You're just building war supplies, equipment, clothes, everything under the sun. So they knew perfectly well that their economy was going to collapse. They couldn't withstand 4 years of war, which was, it turned out, horrific. And, you ready for this? The Knights Templars supported him and sent him the money to keep the United States afloat so that he could complete his task and abolish slavery. Now, actually, you can figure it out for yourself. I was, like most people, I'd been waiting to participate. I'd love to be there and be like one of the wise men. I know where this is going to happen. I know what to look for, and it's not going to happen in my lifetime. I'm sure if it might not happen in yours. However, the important thing there is that we are open to new ideas and things coming through, because just as Christianity was different than Buddhism, your next great religion is going to be a little different than, hey, they're all going to be positive forces. We're looking for something that's wonderful and moving ahead. They're not knocking the one before or the one before that. It's just going to happen. So you got that in place, and you can actually look up the coordinates yourself. You can just go onto the map and find out where Bethlehem is. What are you going to do? You're going to turn the world 120 degrees, and you'll have the longitudinal line where this is all going to come down. Enjoy. So we'll have to get into the fact that we didn't come here to do that. You want to know what separates you from all the other wonderful things that God created. And there is only 3 things that separate you, and that is your head, your hands, and your feet. Therein the Holy Trinity lies in each single case. Now, I want you to think of your right foot. Entered apprentice, fellow, and the master. Where's the entered apprentice? Where's the strength in your right foot? Okay. Feedback from anywhere? Okay. The strength is in the big toe of your right foot. You can throw a ball, but if you throw a ball and you step into it and push off with your big toe of your right foot, you have added strength. Okay. The first degree. Second, where is the fellow craft? Who provides guidance to your right foot? It's your heel. Now, you're following your way through the market mall and whatever, and you're wandering around people and going in stores. A slight inflection from one side to the other with the heel of your right foot is changing your direction and giving you guidance, the fellow craft. So, where is the master? Well, the master is right in the ball of your foot. And there's nothing more important than balance. Balance is absolutely everything, and it's going to be everything we'll talk about here in the next little while. Strength, your toe. Guidance in your heel. And the master is balance. All is well. The Holy Trinity, do you see it there? Okay, now it gets a little more confusing. Your right hand. Where is the Holy Trinity in your right hand? Answer, strength first. It's your opposable thumb and those smaller digits. Grip that down. Therein lies your strength. You're going to love this. Where is guidance? Where is the guidance in your right hand? Your arm is straight. Your arm is straight out. The longest finger in there is that one, and it is guidance. I know, right? But if you slide on the ice today and you shoot your arm out to the side, you're stabilizing yourself, but you're also pointing with the longest finger that you have, lines up with all those bones down there, and provides guidance. I have to actually diverse here a little bit because it makes a little more sense. When I first retired, I told you I'm a Mason for 50 years, right? So I'm not as young as you guys. Anyway, when I first retired, I went out to the Olympic Park here and I taught little kids, 7, 8, 9-year-old kids in groups of 8 and 10 how to ski. And I want you to stand up. Everybody on the side, stand up. Snowplow, stop. You're sliding down there. You really want to stop first before you do anything else. Okay, as you're standing up, I want you to take your longest finger and push him straight out in front of you until the weight comes off of your heels, which is guidance. When the weight comes off of your heels, you can push them out to the sides and push in with your toes and come to a snowplow stop. Ah! Now, maybe you should do it again. You don't believe me. Okay. Standing up, sliding, 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 sliding. Ram your hands out front so the weight is off your heels. Push them out and stop. Okay. While you're still standing, you want to do this. Arms absolutely straight. I want you to crouch down, and as you rise up to give you vertical mobility, you turn your hand in front of your body across to the other side, and you will turn left. It sounds like magic, but it's guidance. Okay? Crouch down again. Range of motion. As you come up, You put your arm in front of your body, get that finger over there and push it to the other side, and you turn right, left, right. Now, if they're just little fellers, you don't go around with your finger in the air. You keep your goddamn glove on, but you are thinking guidance. Capish? Okay. So if strength is there, and this is guidance, where's the master? Yes. The index finger of your right hand is guidance. And this is for you, Sparky. If your inside of your nose is itchy, that is your weapon of choice. The master. What did we leave out? Well, he said your head, hands, and your feet, so we better deal with your head. Now, where is the strength? The bottom third of your face, because your face falls into the rule of thirds. The Holy Trinity is there as well. Strength. Your ability to communicate in hundreds of languages, pass on the working tools from what you've learned of your generation to you people that are the next generation, and let's build forward from here. Unfortunately, a lot of the people that are running the world right now do not value education. And it is a sad, sad thing, because that is what makes the world better for all of us and always will. Education. Without the proper instructions for your labor, you're just going to be another idiot out on the golf course waving a goddamn stick over your head because you have not been told. Strength, communication. The next zone is that of a fellow craft. Guidance. Your ear. Guidance. You hear the instructions. Somebody yells out, 4. 4 is danger. Just by shouting the word 4, you don't have to say, hey, we got to do blah, 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 blah. No, the word 4, danger. Your nose. And some of our boys are really good, you know. I can tell the difference between sour milk and whatever, that cream's not good. We've got guys in our lodge that they can tell you if it's a rum and coke or a Ryan Coke. It's true. Guidance. So, what is left? Nose, what? Ears, your eyes. And this is actually a painful subject for me. If you close your left eye, I want you to put your hand out in front of yourself like that and see your field of vision. And then your other hand out, and you will see that your field of vision with one eye closed is 120 degrees. Close your other eye. Same story. Field of vision, 120 degrees. We will talk about this a little bit later. You watch. The reason it's painful for me is when I pushed into the searing yellow leaf of old age, I had a stroke. And in my left eye, I have diminished vision in there. And now I carry a cane to defend that side in case somebody crowds me and I have to go around a cane. So for those of you that really know me well, you see me walking around carrying a cane. It's not a fashion statement. I'm just keeping from bumping into people. Strength, guidance, what's left? The master. Your head falls into the rule of thirds. The Holy Trinity is right there. Your brain is separate and distinct from every other creature God that created, and you are able to absorb information, learn the working tools, learn how to move forward in your life, and store things that are important for your survival and for the betterment of mankind in general. And therein lies the Holy Trinity. Your foot, Where's the strength? In your toe. Push off. Guidance is in your heel. Slight inflection, left, right. It guides you through them all and around and around. What did he say the most important thing was? Balance. Now here we have to stop. Balance is really the most important thing. However, there's no real such thing as a natural athlete. Very, very, very rare. Some of God's children simply have better balance. However, you can learn it. It's a skill that if you're told what you have to do and when, you are going to improve. So if you see little girls out playing hopscotch in the street and they're so superior, hop, swap up, pick up a rock, drop a lawyer, little boys cannot do that because they are not as advanced. We found that horrible when we were teaching kids to ski. Oh, I'll take the boys. And you're going, you can take the boys, I'll give you the girls. Anyway, the other thing is boys already assume they goddamn well know everything, and little girls are waiting for their proper instructions. Right? Okay. That being said, we got to move on. Where your hand, strength, guidance, and the master. Strength in your face, guidance the second, third, master. So, why do you think, and when you became a Mason, that we went through the same thing over and over and over again? They're going, what the hell is going on? See, I joined the Elks. Wonderful organizations, Elk Canada. You go to the center of the Elks Lodge, put your hand on the Bible, swear to be a decent human being, and you're in. You're done. And we're talking 3 months at least going through the chairs, learning each a separate and individual lecture. Different obligations. Separate and individual. So you learned to be an apprentice, then you went to learn to be a fellowcraft, and then you learned to be a master. After each lesson, then you had to wait a month, regurgitate all the stuff back to the people, what happened to you in the degree before, and if you were proficient, they would move you into the second degree, the fellowcraft, and on again. And we wonder why we had to go through all of that rather than like the Elks. You never knew, but you're going to find out now. It's coming. So here we are, created in God's very own image, gospel according to Dennis. And if you refute that, that's fine. You can contact me at dencharlton.shaw.ca. That's dencharlton.shaw.ca. I might not reply. Yeah, it's a possibility. Anyway, on we go. Let us now talk a little bit about the Knights Templar. Now, there's books on the Knights Templar, and trust me, I'm not getting into all of that. There is a whole virtual library about the Knights Templar, and it goes on and on and on, and I'll leave that up to you. But I got this little guy, and he is basically your classic Knights Templar. This is what everybody thinks of, and that is the warrior knight. Granted, it is important, and he was very useful during the Crusades and getting the pilgrims from A to B and everything else. But they all are concerned with the white jackets. There are also 3 levels of Knights Templar. The priestly class and the class that were basically business administrators. Now, the priestly class of the Knights Templar were the boys that did raw research and education. They just were obsessed. They spoke and wrote. They could read and write in Latin and even Aramaic, the language of Christ. They had to tack down all of the important cities, locations, verify, and look for keys to where the missing things were that were reported in the Bible. And these are the people who would be the top of the Knights Templar, and they were the priestly class. Right below them, and they were also ignored horrifically too, were the business administrators. So we got green and brown tunics. Not the flanchy white guys like this riding around banging swords into each other. No, these are the people that made the world work. Intelligent people. They could read, write, and manage. In all of those other books about the Knights Templar, they talk about the fact that a king in England or a duke or whatever, he could deposit his money with the Knights Templar, receive some of it in Paris, he could receive some of it in Acre, anywhere he wanted to cash his money in, because they had a banking system where they moved money around, and you couldn't be robbed because you didn't have your whole fortune with you, which was what would be required at that time. Also, if you left home, your cousin or your uncle or whatever couldn't depose you and steal your treasury because you deposited your money with the Knights Templar. Now, the Knights Templar and the Freemasons were working hand in hand for all of those years. And they counted on one another. Really, really important to each other. For the Freemasons, this is ancient free we're talking about, not us. Except ancient free, they built everything. Storage facilities, lookout posts, every little cove in the Mediterranean had a harbor. You had a Knights Templar enclave in there, and they had buildings and they had warehouses. Just even the tack and stuff necessary to put 3,000 horses in the field, horseshoes, everything, oats, you name it. All the smart work was done by the business administration class of the Knights Templar. They became so ridiculously wealthy that it became an obvious envy point from people that are, well, they're flat out horrible people. That's all there is to it. So anyway, there's no really real secrets, especially in an environment. Somebody's always talking. That's that loose lips sink ships thing. It just leaks out. They knew damn well that they were going to be run over by the King of France and a Pope. And they had some real bad ones. They were not beyond anything the way they would behave. Ridiculous. Anyway, the Knights Templar were aware of this D-Day that we were going to have, and they disappeared. Whoosh. And they said the world's largest merchant marine disappeared in the span of a week. Lifted up their anchors and buggered off. And what did they take with them? Well, that's for all those other books on the Knights Templar, and you can get into it all you want. And it's wonderful reading and stuff, but you know, it's done. We'll leave it there. So, if you're a Knights Templar on here on the run, where do you go? Huh? The Pope has said that you are to be tortured and maybe put to death. You're going to be extracted from this. They're taking all of your assets. People that even harbor you or give you safe haven, they're going to have all of their worldly goods taken from them and given to the church. Are you really? This is where we are. Anyway, England and France never really got along too good for hundreds of years. They couldn't get along. There's robbing land, doing all that kind of crap. You learned that in history. Not important. Anyway, they posted the bans in England. Never arrested a Knights Templar, not one. So, guess what happened? Robert the Bruce was excommunicated by the same Pope. And he wasn't willing to put up with any of his horseshit whatsoever. And he opened the country of Scotland up with open arms and folded the Knights Templar right completely into Scottish society. I think we should have a toast. Let's have a toast to Scotland. Gentlemen, to Scotland and safe haven. Arr. So, when you arrive in Scotland and you've got to blend in with the people, a little bit difficult. However, some of the upper classes of the Knights Templar, they could read and write. They were the business administrators, after all, in the priestly class, and you don't really speak the language that well, but we've got to get you to merge into society. Well, as it turns out, the priestly class, of course, always looks after itself. They've got the funds, they can go underground, research, education, continue on. And they had a little bit of a task that they were going to do. And I could. The King of England had some paperwork he wanted a book to put together. And the Knights Templar priestly class were a major part of consolidating this thing today and melding it and refining it. And they did this for King James. The class below them, as the business administrators and all the people that did the banking and all that kind of stuff, well, they made for room for them as well. And what they were doing, they put a teacher in every little tiny community in Scotland. If your town had 130 people or 225, you had a teacher. Now, this has a profound effect, and it will have to come out in the future. In time, of course, what happened was Scotland became a very enlightened society with the vast majority of their people that could read and write. Turns out they were the most intelligent people on the planet. Now, I've got a couple of brothers here in the lodge, and if your name is Duncan Strachan or Hamish Kerfoot, they will tell you that Scottish people still are the smartest people on the planet, and the rest of us are trying to catch up, guys, honestly, but historically, you're absolutely correct. There's no question about it, without doubt. In fact, Scotland had 4 universities at the time that England and France could only come up with 1, and it was mediocre. But you don't have a resource base if everybody is educated, right? So Knights Templar money went to buying books, school supplies, all this kind of stuff, and then it would just meld it into the society. Now, there's also a level, they weren't all school teachers. In fact, in the little communities and stuff, you would have like a blacksmith or somebody that could work metal, do all of those other chores that the Templar Knights were doing. And they just folded them right in, okay? The only drawback were these guys. What the hell do you do if these guys are just warriors? Because it's obvious about what they do. Well, they hid all of their shit. All of those fancy swords and all the armor and everything else was hidden. And the same thing with the big treasury that disappeared. You could build a great big elaborate, well, the stonemasons after all, you put up a great big fortress, guard it 24 hours a day and whatever else. All that does is it creates interest. What the hell's going on over there? And there's 50 men in there guarding that thing 24 hours a day. The locals get curious. And there's still a bounty on these Knights Templars. So what happened is they took their swords and wrapped them in pine tar, pitch, burlap, and buried them in the ground. Sandy soil, because it's fairly rainy over there in Scotland. Good drainage, Every golf course has good drainage. So in times of dire need, all you had to do is peel back the sod on the 6th hole and recover your swords. You might be standing on the treasury, or you might be standing on armament, depending on which hole you were on. There was a little bit of confusion there because the early golf courses did not have marked. So you couldn't buy a map and go from the first hole to the second tee. Well, it wasn't. You had to have a guide. That way they could keep an eye on everybody that was on their property. And being that they're Scotsmen, they could also make a couple of bucks on the deal, right? Or are you going to lose where the treasury or the armor is? No, hell, I just put a flag in the top of that flat spot right there, and that's where the armor is. I checked on it this morning, and I'll check on it tomorrow morning. Buried in the ground. What did they do? They created a game. It was no longer necessary for two people to stand up, bash at each other with swords and shields and do all this kind of crap and take damage and wreck your equipment, when all you had to do is hit a little ball on the ground, and you could prove that you hit it farther than your buddy and that you were an able craftsman and you had the skill to be successful at golf. So what the hell is golf? It's an anagram. It stands for geometry and the obligation of a Freemason. Geometry, obligation of a Freemason. What you're going to learn today is the first degree. That of using a driver. They called it a mashie in the original term. You had 3 clubs. You had a mashie, you had a niblick, and you had a brassie. Each had a single purpose for the 3 different skill sets that are necessary to be very successful at the sport. 3. Now, I told you before, universal signal for danger was what? 4. It would tell the people in front of you and within earshot that there was somebody on the golf course that was not a Mason. They were part of the eavesdroppers and cowans that made it successful for you to make a few bucks, guide people around a goofy golf course, and tend your treasury and have everybody try a different little sport. So they invented the game of golf. G-O-F. Geometry, the obligations of a Freemason. Now, you heard the one about the 4. That's danger. There's somebody in here we're warning you. The boys are out there sword fighting and buggering around, which they'll do. They do that. And you shouted 4. They shut up, quit doing their stuff, went back to playing, or they let you play through. Said, you don't think, I'm sorry, the boys are got bored in here. They're just pissing around, right? So, there's 18 holes on a golf course. Did you know that? Yeah. Oh, why in the hell would there be 18 holes on a golf course? Anybody from the audience? 18 holes on the golf course. What about Boaz here? Why on earth would there be 18 holes on a golf course? Huh? I didn't get an answer. It's homework for the rest of you guys. 18 holes. Why not stop at 10? You know what? A lot of times you get a beginner golfer out there and he's read some videos and he's watched some stuff and he's doing okay. And he goes out and you force him and he bang balls around. About the 6th or 7th hole, he's fed up with it. And that was the whole point of it. Yeah, I did that. And it was okay. I was okay, but in reality, oh hell, he couldn't wait for it to be over with. The 7th, 8th, 9th hole, whatever. Should have quit at 10. Nope, you went on to 18 holes. Okay. Obvious reason for that? You didn't give me the damn answer, but I'm looking forward to it in time. It'll come to you. So, where are we at? We're on the golf course. We're golfing. And, oh, yeah, the Knights Templar. We got to get back to it. I digress a little bit sometimes. And then it takes me a little while to get back on track. And I blame it on the sere and yellow eve of old age. And I'll get around to it sooner or later. Now, we have a tee box. And what is a tee box? Well, it's an anagram as well. It's an anagram for a Templar box. Now, balance is so damn important that they put up some blocks there, and if there's divots and holes and crap in the thing, it's the stupidest sport on the planet because you don't like the way you're standing, you got a foot in a goddamn hole and a divot, you're off balance. Well, you don't like where you're standing, you can move, so you move back, right? Can't move forward, but you can move back, and then you got even footing on each other. Strange sport, right? So in that Templar blocks, you have a defensive stance for 3 Templar knights. Stay with me now. They form a circle. And within that circle, they defend. And you cannot taunt them out of there for any reason because they have picked the ground that they are going to fight on. So within the Templar box, just like you were doing Tai Chi or moves, they would form 3. And when they form 3, if you were at 12 o'clock and you closed your left eye, you would have a brother knight at 4 o'clock, 120 degrees to your right. Close your left eye. Not in my case, but you would have a Templar knight at 8 o'clock facing outward. The 4th man, and you have a foursome, the 4th man is there to challenge the defense. He will come at you, and not only does he have a mason covering his back, but he has one to the side as well. So he decides that he's going to swing at you with his axe or his sword that's over there. And out of the corner of your eye, your partner will slash at him, bump him, knock him off balance, anything to just do a little minor damage. Come down with your sword and just hit him on the back of his calf. Everybody's got big armor on their shins and knees and stuff like that. Just a little bang. You don't have to break his leg or anything. You got to go to work next day after all. This is just for fun. So anyway, they challenge the circle. And they age around, try and taunt them to come out. The lesson here is that more you can keep your attacker off balance, the bigger advantage you have over him, because he cannot put any power behind the blow that he's trying to put onto you. He just has his arms only. So if you swing with your arms only, like you do with your golf club, we're talking not good enough to get to what job you want done. Not even close. Okay. Defensive circle 3. Now, you always hear in the news media all the time, they're talking, dead man tell no tales, which is, well, it's absolutely true. I mean, how the hell could you not, right? However, the other side of the story is wounded men and defeated men never shut up. And every goddamn bartender within 100 miles can recap what happened on that battlefield in ridiculous detail, and will do it over and over. He wasn't even there, but it's been told so many times. And it builds up that mystique of these 3 Templar knights that defeated 10 of you that were trying to rob them. There was 10 of you. You couldn't do a goddamn thing about it. Beat into the damn ground. Now, if you had to mobilize this workforce, yeah, you can do it. You can take the heavy horse that's underneath there and unhook him from the plow. He is still trained to steer with his your knees. and you leave your shield in your arm, you can beat on whatever else. But that little horse, massive, ridiculous sized horse coming at you, doing his little death dance and doing more damage than you are riding on top. All you had to do is unhook him and put the armor on him. He's still ready to go. And those swords that you buried on the 6th hole underneath, you pulled the sod back, they are all covered in pine tar and guck and all that burlap and shit. It's not ready to go. Oh yeah, it is. Because it's still hidden and you're not intimidated by some dirty old piece of equipment like that. So when these guys come running in at you, and 30 Templar Knights come charging in from the left side, you're going to reinforce your left side and ignore those 100 other trained knights that are in rags with dirty old swords, and you weakened the side that you needed to reinforce. And they have the battlefield advantage on you every single time. And you got hacked to death by a bunch of ragmen with dirty old swords. Could be worse, right? No, that's the way it is. Battlefield advantage and extreme training. Are these people still ready to go? They were. And there is remnants of this happening all over. However, the golf course would be a place where you can test your skills, prove that you're ready, and not be beat up enough that you can't go to work on Monday morning or with a broken arm or goddamn hacked, bruised, beat up, and just call it GOF, G-O-F. And it stands for Geometry, the Obligations of a Freemason. Gentlemen, arise for a toast to the Templar Knights. Now we're going to have a little bit of a break. Our deacons and stewards are going to pass amongst you and recharge your cannons so you are ready to go. So let's suspend lodge for the span of about 5 minutes, and then we will reassemble and get on with our evening. The ladies are waiting for us, and we should, well, Dennis should get the hell going. Anyway, take a break. Deacons and stewards, recharge their cannons. How'd you make out? Let's bring the boys back in and get ready for round 2. Welcome back, brothers. We have covered the Knights Templar, some precursors for the golf course. Now we want to get to the meat of the matter. Gentlemen, you'll move on to the hall floor. I want you to spread out so that you're about 6 feet from each other. We don't want you banging into anybody today. It is well. When you were first admitted into a lodge of entered apprentice, You were received on the point of a sword, pointing at your naked left breast. You will do that now. Take your left arm and put it up against your left breast. Now, I want you to transfer your weight to your right foot, going that way. This is the impact zone. This is the flat spot of the curve that you're going to create. So, when the club comes around you, it is going to have a path that becomes flat when you transfer your weight from your right foot to your left foot. There in the impact is the strike zone. Masonically speaking, it is where the rough sands of the sea ebb and flow twice every 24 hours. There is a flat spot, eventide. Nothing is coming in and nothing is going out. The celestial path of your right arm as it comes through becomes a flat spot when you transfer your weight through the strike zone. Now, if your balance is off, and we were talking about balance a little bit before, if your balance is off and you are still descending in that arc, you will strike the ground before the ball. If you are too late and it is ascending, you will top the ball or miss it completely, which is a whiff. And everybody around you is going to laugh at you because your timing is off. You're going to kill it. Didn't work out because that weight transfer was not correct. The rough sands of the sea ebbs and flows at twice every 24 hours. When it comes down, you have to create a flat spot, the impact zone. So you're received on the point of a sword by your naked left breast. Transfer your weight to your right foot over there. Do that now. You can say rough sand of the sea if you wish. Strike zone is be fine too. Now, you have to compress your naked left breast. How far? 120 degrees. So you're going to go, if that's 12 o'clock, you're going to torque it all the way around to 4 o'clock. Remember the Templar Knights? That's where he is. Good. Do that now. Left breast, move to your right foot. Now compress the whole right-hand side of your body. Oh, not quite. Can you go to your toe? That's where your strength is. Not quite. Well, let's try it again. On the balance of your, the middle of your foot, that's balance. Not good enough. So where's the guidance in your right foot? We told that before. Come on. It's your heel. Your heel is guidance. You are under the step of an entered apprentice. Salute the worship master under the step of an entered apprentice. Do it now. Look at your feet. Okay? Now, step away, following the same angle that's inculcated in that step. What's the distance between the 2 feet? There's a little bit of fine work you have to do in there, depending on how tall you are, or how short you are, or how you can transfer your weight in balance between your right foot and your left foot. Some future degrees, the guys say, well, you know what? I've got a 24-inch gauge. I'm going to have the distance between my big toe, which is strength, you want that, and balance, which is in the ball of my left foot, and I want that distance to be 24 inches because I have a 24-inch gauge. Yeah, it kind of hinges. We'll try that. It kind of hinges on how you're not all. The rest of you weren't exactly designed in God's own image. It's only your head, hands, and your feet that the Holy Trinity is in. So you're going to have to do some adjustments right there. Okay? So, naked left breast, 120 degrees. Let's go to your heel. Full torque. Well, you can force it into there. Oh my God, you're compressing. It's not enough. You can't make it to 120 degrees onto the step of an entered apprentice, but you know how you can do? Bend your right knee. Go down. Slowly. And I wanted you to all do all this like you're doing Tai Chi in slow motion. Down and complete the turn. You bent your knee. It's enough. You could, oh, there it is. Epiphany. You've moved your left breast 120 degrees. You're also going to feel something that happened. You have compressed the whole right side of your body. There's the lateral torque of moving that left breast 120 degrees has preloaded you for a golf swing. When you drop down that little bit by bending your right knee, you put tension and torsion on your right leg. It went down, and the compression you are going to release, you won't forget, because you've got to release that. You don't swing just with your arms. The explosive release of you driving forward with the big toe of your right foot as hard as you possibly can. Through your big toe, down into your golf shoe, the cleat that is right below your big toe, and push off as hard as you possibly can. And therein is the strength. Followed by the guidance, the torque, lateral torque of your torso coming 120 degrees back to the impact zone is guidance. What remains? What remains is I want you to go back to your seats and sit down and relax for a second, because this is all too much stress. Strength and guidance, Ben. So you're under the step of an entered apprentice. What is the due guard of an entered apprentice? You can shout from the sidelines, what is your due guard? Yes, your due guard is the place where your hands were placed on the Holy Bible when you took your solemn and binding obligation of an entered apprentice Mason. It was unique and separate from the next 2 degrees. So how were your hands placed on the Bible when you took the solemn and binding obligation of an entered apprentice Mason? Yep, and you will do that now. Sitting in your chair, I want you to pick up your mashie that's sitting at your station and hold it out in front of you with both hands, as inculcated in the due guard. Now, if it is facing straight up and down, this is where you want your impact to be at completion. A solid square impact face. Now, I want you to take your right arm, solid out in front of you, holding that club as inculcated in your due guard, and turn it 120 degrees to the right. You didn't quite get it. Let's put it back. Change your grip so that you can move it 120 degrees until it locks up solid. One more time. As you're Masons, we have to do everything 3 goddamn times because you're dumb. Again, grip. Faces up, 120 degrees until it locks up. Now, repeat after me. upper body stability. Upper body stability. You have another hand on there, and it is your right hand. So with your right hand, I want you to turn. Go for it. How many degrees are we going to move that? 120 degrees. You are going to cock that wrist up until it locks up. Your right arm is going to be flaccid. Where the left was rigid, your right arm is flaccid. As you do your celestial turn, you are cocking your right wrist 120 degrees, and you will find that your arm, your right arm, has moved 120 degrees as well and locked up. When does this happen? It all happens at the same time. Transfer your weight to the heel of your right foot. All the degree works happens now, and it happens at one time. I want you to do it slowly, just like it was Tai Chi, bringing everything together. You are going to move, torque your left breast, turn your left wrist, cock your left wrist, one arm rigid, until you have fully extended and your torque is locked up. Now, we have to do it 3 or 4 times because you're Masons after all, you catch on. Anyway, what you're going to do is lead off with your big toe on your right foot, doing this in slow motion. Push off as hard as you possibly can. There is in the strength. Guidance of the upper body, torquing to the left. The fellowcraft. The master is in your hands. You are in full control. The celestial rotation of your right arm goes in reverse order. It's not what you would think with strength first, guidance, and then the master. It is opposite of that. You are coming down, striking a little ball on the ground. You're striking with first the impact of a master. Your right elbow will tuck right into the side of your body, and you will have guidance twice. Once from the rotation, and the second time is coming right from here. And you're going to throw it just like an underhand pitch, accelerating at the very last with the strength to drive it through that little ball. Then you are going to, after impact, go directly to the ball of your left foot and do the full recoil after, so that you are not out of balance and you can redo it again. Are you ready to do it again? Yep, let's do it. Slow Tai Chi. Well, you know what? I'd actually prefer that you don't get a club in your basement and go around bashing up the roof and everything. I want you to do a slow little Tai Chi dance to prove the craft, okay, without damaging anything and yourself personally. What about your left hand? The grip turns 120 degrees, locks up. What is it? Upper body stability. Your right wrist, slow motion as you're coming around, you are cocking it. And this is the direction. It's not, is it down here, is it over there, all that. You do it exactly as it goddamn it was hooked. You put your hands on the goddamn club, right? Now, it just follows it. It follows the wrist. As you cocked it 120 degrees, you don't care. There is no up, bounce. Oh, some of these guys drive me nuts. Hey, it's left. Just cock your damn wrist 120 degrees and everything will follow. Unload it. It's the master first, fellowcraft, and extension. I think you need a drink. Yeah, I know I do. Are you ready? Ah, to the Freemasons. Brr. Now you look at me and you say, well, why is this so elaborate? I've never seen anything like that in my life. I watched all these golf lessons and these guys say, oh, just stand up there and shake all the stress around and swing and it's easy. You know, and why was all this? And you're going, well, it really is the obligation of the worshipful master when lodge is assembled to set the craft to work and give them proper instructions for their labor. Now, some of you will go out. I want you to just do it as Tai Chi. So you relax and do the exercises and over repetitive. But what you're going to do instead, of course, is you're going to go out to the goddamn driving range and pound 200 balls day after tomorrow and 2 days after that. And you're going to come back and what the hell? You can hardly move. Well, it's easy to explain it to the ancient Freemasons, and you're going, well, you got a drill and a hammer, and you're beating and beating and beating on this thing. And at the end of the day, you got tennis elbow and you got something wrong with your back. Well, it's simple as hell, really. What's the problem? This guy's the problem. The master. You cut your chokehold on that damn club at impact over and over again. It is going to telegraph back up that shaft. And you are going to have tennis elbow or throw your back out, and it's not sorted. It's guaranteed. So when you're coming through with a full spring, release the tension on here. There's two problems. And the other problem is you are not breaking your wrist if you got a chokehold on that club. The snap is not going to happen. And this is the fellas that's at fault right there. The index finger of your right hand. So release that at impact. Now, in the fullness of time, probably within the next month, you know how Masons are, you're going to have to come back and regurgitate a bunch of the crap that goddamn dentist told me last week, and you're going, oh, hell, and all of this, and what happened next, and then what do you do, and oh, you did that. You did it already when you became a Mason, right? What the hell? It's not going to be strange. However, let's do a little more digging here. You've found some proficiency in the previous degree, and you can run your mashie, and you can hit a nice long drive, and everybody's happy. So you're going to arrive at the lodge and say, I would like to move forward, and I'd like to become a fellowcraft, because I would like to be able to use my little niblick and get me down the road a little better. Well, I have something for you. And I do enjoy this part of it. I can't lie. It's just the best. What was pointed at your naked right breast when you were pushed through to become a fellowcraft? Came through the door. What was applied to your naked right breast? I didn't get it. Well, yeah, you know what? You're absolutely right. Now, in that, how many degrees are inculcated in that piece of equipment that was applied to your naked right breast? How many degrees are there? And you're going, what? All of a sudden, the epiphany happens right there. I can't say this, and I don't enjoy that. I really do. What is the step of a fellowcraft? You know, well, yeah, I already know that too. And therein lies the lesson. You don't need me to pass you into the degree of a fellowcraft. You already know what you need to do to pass and move on to that fucking Hey, I can't say I don't really enjoy that, because I really do. It's the epiphany thing where you're going, what the hell's that? Anyway, It could be in the case that you in the future would like to travel in foreign lands, work, and receive master's wages. You young fellows, you might want to do that. It's a game, but you know what? That could be kind of fun. Travel in foreign lands and work and receive master's wages. I would request, though, that you get a dispensation from the Grand Lodge of the jurisdiction that you're going to go into, like a welcome letter, something that you can give to the people at the border customs and say, well, I'm a temporary foreign worker, and I'd like to be able to go to there, and here's my invitation from the Grand Lodge of that jurisdiction. They'll let you in. You should probably have a letter of introduction from the Grand Lodge, in this case the Grand Lodge of Alberta, as just an introduction to them. It'll make things just a little bit easier. Travel in foreign lands, work and receive master's wages. I think you're ready for a drink. Are you? No? You know all about it, and it's time to have a drink, right? So, I would kind of assume that maybe you've picked up a little bit of clubhead speed from the information that I've given you here today. Now, if you come into a really good pro shop, they've got all this electronic stuff, and computers and all this, they can tell you how fast your club head is moving in the air, and they'd like to sell you a shaft that's meets the style that you have at your skill level. Something will give you an advantage. Well, this is possible too. It comes with a little bit of a warning, though. And that warning is a stiff shaft has led to the downfall of many a young lad. Bear that in mind. Now, in your travels in these foreign countries and things, you will run into golf courses that are ridiculously expensive. And you're going, oh, geez, I can't believe they charge. That's what they want to get in. So, well, what they're trying to do by getting the price way up there is to keep the riff-raff out. But they're more effectively keeping the riff-raff in. And I'm talking, these people are just, some of them aren't even fit company for just upright men at all. It's just absolutely ridiculous. These are the kind of men he would spend $800 buying a driver to gain 20 yards. So his old buddy that golfs with him, he can humiliate him in his eyes by pounding the ball 20 yards further. Really? What kind of a goddamn person are you? Disgusting. And it'd be even compounded, made worse, because they walk past a homeless guy in the street and turn away from him and say, he's a junkie or an alcoholic or whatever, and shun him and walk away. You couldn't spare a goddamn kind word for somebody less fortunate? Huh? Or a couple of coins. Disgraceful, repulsive people on the planet. How could you not have some benevolence for somebody that is less fortunate than you, with all the benefits God has poured upon you, and you treat other people like that? It's beyond disgusting. However, it's part of life. And if they have an ego that needs them to be bolstered by beating another old crock like me and hitting the ball 20 yards further, so be it. We as Masons, we've got to look forward to upgrading things and doing just a little bit better than the common man, and just try a little harder. And I enjoy that, I always have, looking for the Holy Trinity in everything you see and do. Now in the Masons, we've got 3 steps going up, followed by 5, and then you get to the 7. You're making your way to the middle chamber to collect your wages, huh? It's a good thing. But on those steps that are going up there, they're all the more noble pursuits, right? I always got a kick out of it. But yeah, I hear nice lectures and people doing this stuff. But that, something like art's absolutely wonderful. If you look for the Holy Trinity in there and say, well, it's a rule of thirds and this is that, and there's three base colors and you're mixing, and all of a sudden the light goes on and you're going, yeah, I enjoy this a little more. I'm not really good at it, but I can kind of comprehend it. It's right. And if you drew, a head, and this is going to be strength and guide, and if it's not out of proportion, it's going to fall into that, right? It's a noble thing, art. So we look for the Holy Trinity in everything you do. Even sleep. And the Holy Trinity in sleep, he goes strength. Yeah? The strength is the first third of your sleep cycle. And that's the cycle in which you're rebuilding the muscles damage. In the case of young children, they're growing, or young anything, they need that recovery time to rebuild their strength, the inner apprentice. Transitioning through to what would be the fellowcraft, all your guidance system, they're being repaired and stuff in the second degree, that of a fellowcraft. And in the final degree, your mind is free. It has no obligations and it has no stress. It doesn't have anything to work on. And therein lies the epiphany. And that's the blinding revelation that, oh my God, there's the answer and it's right there. Just like when you found out that you didn't need me to make you a fellowcraft. You already had all the information you needed. That was your epiphany. Well, it could happen. And look for it in the third degree. There's something wonderful. Even if you were sleeping on a decision and you decided, oh, hey, I'm not gonna buy that car. I changed my mind when I got up this morning because what's the magic word? I slept on it and I decided I'd change my mind. No, it's the final degree. There was work. And there is also a caution in there as well. And that caution is in the third degree of sleep. Your body may make a decision for you that it is not repairable. And in that case, you will gently slip the mortal coil of your life. However, there is someone who's gone before you that is going to act as your companion and guide. They are waiting for you. And they will act for you, guide you, and they will speak for you when the question is asked, who comes here? It is a tough one. And of course there's a fee for anything. And before we get into that, I think we should have another drink. Do you think? Maybe one more. And here's the fee for tonight's lesson, is that when you reach the final degree of sleep and you are in the domain of the master, you will see me there. And in the dream, I am 20 yards short of the pearly gates. I didn't make it either. 20 yards short. However, I have company. And the souls that are with me there are the people that you met during your lifetime, the less fortunate, the people that you had a kind word for, or a few coins. They will greet you and thank you again and let you pass. Therein is the dream. And therein is a caution as well. Because if you took the other path, then it becomes a nightmare. The nightmare is where you are in front of all of these people that you ignored, turned away from, felt repulsed by, considered them scum. They are now amassed in front of you, and they are ignoring your request just like you ignored them. And therein lies the nightmare. And it's there waiting for you every night that you get to see me in the third degree of your sleep. So, brethren, let charity spread wide amongst the brethren. May brotherly love prevail, and every moral and social virtue cement us. Nothing remains but to close the volume of the sacred writing and lock up the secrets of Masonry within the safe and sacred repository of our hearts with fidelity, fidelity, fidelity. Brethren, be ye all of one mind. Live in peace, and may the God of peace and virtue delight to dwell within you and bless you. I think we should join the women. I'm hungry. Is Michelle upstairs?
I'm not sure.
Oh. Where's Michelle?
She's downstairs somewhere. My nose piece is falling off these glasses.
Oh?
My new ones. Downstairs somewhere.
I think I got it, Michelle.
How'd it go?
I think I got it. I'm not sure. I'd have to watch it, but I don't think I missed anything.
That's good.
How long was it?